everyone. My name is Andrea and I am the travel painter. Basically, I travel and I take pictures and then I paint my pictures. So today I am going to be looking back at a trip I took back in 2013, I think it was. No, earlier than that. I will double check. To Iceland. And I did a 3-day hiking trip in Landmannalaugar. That is actually how you pronounce it. And yeah, I did a hiking trip, and it's through the highlands of Iceland where there isn't really a whole lot that grows out there. It's a very volcanic. And this is one picture that I took that I really liked. And as you can see, it's kind of hilly. It was very high elevation. And that is snow that's on there. The reason why it's kind of black is because it's actually ash, because there had been a volcano that had just erupted a little bit that oh wait, it was 2016. That's when it was, because it was right after, do you remember when all the planes were grounded because of the volcano that went off? Yeah, it was a while after that. So yeah, able to fly there, but there was still a little bit of issues. So today I am using a 9x12 Artist Loft canvas board, and these are the paints that I used. So we have Liquitex Basics, Phthalo Blue, and Burnt Sienna, Titanium White, Mars Black, Burnt Umber, and Hooker's Green, and then the Artist Loft's professional level Phthalo Blue green shade. So now I am going to tell you, full disclosure, I tried my best, but unfortunately my head gets in the way quite a bit. So hopefully next one will be a little bit better. So what I basically did was I started out just sketching out what it was going to be. And this is one brush that I used. It actually legit is a makeup brush, but I found out that a really good way to do blending is with those brushes. It works fantastic. And I also use, it's like the paintbrush that you had when you were in kindergarten, like the super kind of cheap rough ones. They work so good for blending like clouds and even water. Oh, brilliant. And this is my number 12 Bright. Love this brush. Works so well. And oh, angle brush. This is my number 6 angle brush. I actually have started doing really well with that one for drawing good lines. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, this is actually my first painting that I am doing without a tutorial, without any help from a teacher. I'm just doing it from my picture and just going for it. So something with the Landmannalaugar hike, it was originally going to be 4 days, and then I discovered one of the days was going to be pretty quick, so I just kept going. Oh, and you can see Violet back there. That's her blanket. We call it the wolf blanket because it has like a couple of wolves on it, and she loves it. It's literally on the desk. I could put it anywhere and she would climb up on it. So there is my Deerfoot stipler brush that is a 1/4 inch. Those ones work really well for blending as well. Like clouds, yes. So one thing I was going to mention too, with the sky, it was a pretty just like white type of day, like a lot of clouds, not fluffy clouds, just, where it's just like a white with clouds. But I decided to add a little bit of something in there rather than just painting the canvas up at the top white. I thought I would add just a slight hint of blue to it, just to give it a little bit of contrast, or make it not look like I had forgotten or something like that. So yeah, I did this hike. I did it by myself. I went to Iceland by myself, actually. nobody else wanted to go. They're like, oh, why do you want to go to Iceland? Because it looks amazing. I was originally going to spend a month in Scandinavia and do like 1 week per country. And because I live in Canada, Iceland was going to be my first stop. And so, oh, that is my DaVinci #2. Yeah, super fine detail brush. And yeah, as I read up on Iceland, I realized there is no way I can only do this country in a week. Like, there's no way. There's way too much to see and do. Like, Lonely Planet, you did your job. You got me interested. So yeah, when I saw this hike, I'm like, okay, yeah, gotta do it. And what I ended up doing was I left my big bag, so I was backpacking, so I had like a 70-liter, I think. I left my 70-liter bag at the hostel, and I took my smaller bag, like maybe a 30-liter, might have even been a 20-liter, and I just took that with like a sleeping bag, lassoed on the back. Oh my goodness, I was so unprepared. It's actually hilarious looking back on it now, because there were people, they had their 80-liter bag, they had everything, but I mean, I was like, well, I'm going on a hike, I don't need to take my hair straightener with me, because I had longer hair back then, just FYI. So oops, I don't even know what brush that is, sorry. I will let you know in the description. So yeah, it was kind of funny. There was a lot of river crossings that I had no idea that was coming up. So yeah, and I did not have extra shoes to wear, so my feet got wet. And yes, it was in July. It is in Iceland. It was pretty warm, but everybody had to take the pants off. So I'm going through the water, no pants, and no shoes and no socks. I had a guy from Finland get mad at me. He's like, why don't you have extra shoes? You're gonna hurt yourself. But he was actually the one that let me use his walking sticks to get across, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, absolutely loved Iceland. I always tell people that, a lot of people, they don't really get it. Like, why would you want to go to Iceland? It's like, there's nothing there. It's cold. Well, no, like, I was actually in Greenland for 8 days before I went to Iceland, because, I mean, I just thought, well, I'm going to Iceland, so I might as well go to Greenland too. It's right there. When am I going to have this opportunity again? And yeah, I was in Greenland end of June. I got a sunburn. It was plus 30 one day. Granted, I was in the southern tip, very close to Newfoundland, because I was actually in the area where Eric the Red was, and there was a statue for Leif Erikson, who, if you know your history, he discovered, well, I don't want to say he discovered it, but he found Newfoundland in year 1000, I think. So yeah, there you go, a little bit of history lesson. So yeah, now I forget what I was talking about. Sorry. Okay. So must know. So this was, I was kind of halfway through. I was slightly regretting this picture because there's so much shading, because I mean, it's just a bunch of hills. And I mean, if I was still in like 3rd grade or something, yeah, I would have just drawn a bunch of curvy lines and colored it all brown and we'd be done. But yeah, trying to shade it all in was a little bit my nightmare, and I was really trying to focus in on what the picture looked like. You can see my 3 little lines of where the hill changes. Partway through this, I just decided, you know what, I need to kind of just do this my own way, look at the picture, figure out where the light is, because that is one of the big things. Definitely learned that from my art Sherpa. You can see her painting back there that I did with her, the elephant. I love that elephant. Highly recommend that one. Recommend the art Sherpa and Cinnamon Cooney. She taught me a lot. Also learned a lot from Jane font with my shading. I don't know. Oh, my head's always blocking it, but the one back there, you can see with the purple tree, I learned a lot about shading from her on that one. So, yeah, have you started to see what I mean about my head being in the way all the time? So, at least I just got my hair done, so that's good. So, yeah, it was, so what happened was on this hike, it was a 3-day hike. I had pre-booked everything in advance, and I had like a place to stay at a mountain hut. That's what it was called. And mountain hut meaning like a semi-rustic hostel, I guess. Like one room and 10 bunk beds. So yeah, I just, you just kept walking and you followed, there's little cones so that you knew where you were going all the way. And yeah, I kind of met some people along the way. I met one British guy and one American guy. The British guy I kind of kept slightly passing, and then I'd pass him, and then I'd stop to get some munchies out of my backpack, and he'd pass me, and then I'd pass him again. So eventually we started talking. He actually was living in Canada at the time in Squamish, BC. Never actually been there, but he was working there at the ski resort, I believe. So yeah, not sure what happened to that guy. I think he broke his leg, and then I never heard, broke his leg back in BC, but I never heard anything from him. So I don't know if the email address he gave me wasn't good or something. Yeah, because we had a friend and a friend of a friend, I think, somebody else that I met while I was traveling. But yeah, so, and funny thing, I have to wear earplugs most of the time when I sleep, especially in a hostel. If you have ever stayed in a hostel in like an 8 or a 10 bed dorm, you know what I mean. My third night, because funny story about that one. Yeah, my third night, I ended up in this one room with about, I'm gonna say 20 German and Swiss older. Oh, and look at that. Canvas fell. I just think that's funny. And the world's upside down. That just entertained me because you know what's going to happen and then it happens. But no paint smeared, no paint on the floor. We're all good. So yeah, bunch of older German and Swiss couples. I'm thinking 40 plus. And you see somebody and you see their nose and you think, oh no, you're a snorer, aren't you? And yes, oh my goodness, it was a chorus. It was insane. Like, I have never heard that much snoring. So I ended up going for a walk, going for like a little bit of a hike at about 2 o'clock in the morning. I have the video, I'll have to post it for you guys as well. But yeah, I went hiking at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and 2 o'clock in the morning, July, Iceland equals still bright sky. Like, it was amazing. That's one of my favorite parts about Iceland. Because I was there in the summer, there of course were no northern lights, but it was so cool to see it so bright and just such a different experience. Middle of the night, still light out, you know? So yeah, I think I stayed at the first hostel, and then the mountain hut, and then the second one. And then I was supposed to stop at this third one, but I got there in maybe 2 or 3 hours walk. So it's kind of like, well, I don't want to stop now. That's a waste of my day. But I'd already booked the night. So I think I stopped in and talked to them at that hut, and I called ahead to the next one. They gave me the number, and I said, okay, I don't have a booking. I'm supposed to stay here, but, can I stay at the next one? And it was all owned by the same company, I believe, so, the nights could transfer that way. But they said, okay, but you have to make it here in time before, other people get here. If you don't get here and there's not a spot, then we can't give you anywhere to sleep. So I was like, all right, awesome. So then I was, heading there and trying to walk fast so that I could make it there um, before everyone else stopped to sleep. And yeah, I ended up getting there, super late. Well, not super late, but I ended up getting one of the last spots. Now, I just want to point out that was a uh, half-inch Whisp that I just brought out because I was getting super frustrated trying to get the shading and the texture and the lighting and everything like that right. So I was like, okay, let's just try something different. Which, I bought the Whisp originally to do a tiger with Angela Anderson, which I never actually did that one because at the time I wanted to do something, that wasn't going to be super difficult. Sometimes you just want to do the easy paintings. Yeah, I haven't done the tiger yet, and I hadn't used the Whisp yet, so I was like, all right, let's give this a try and see how it works. It didn't really do a whole lot for this. I think, as you'll see, I kind of cover it up a bit, so, it's kind of there, it's kind of not. So, one of the things about this hike as well, my last day. Okay, so because I didn't have my earplugs, and I've been hiking and eating, I think I was eating like instant noodles from Greenland. Oh man, I don't remember what kind they were, but yeah, they were instant noodles, like Mr. Noodles, Ichiban, Mama, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what kind they were, but I kid you not, they were amazing. They were the best you ever had. Think about, the noodles that you had when you were in college or maybe that you're having right now and multiply it by I don't know how much. They were so good. I was surprised. I was trying to make them last as long as I could. And I think I had, this was the other thing, I had it was organic, la la la, brown sugar and maple syrup instant oatmeal, and it actually tastes really good too. Now, I don't know if it was just because of the elevation or the rough in it or what, but yeah, all of this instant ridiculous food tastes so good. So, anyways, yeah, my last day when I was heading towards this last hut, my last day before, get on the bus and head back, walking along, I am so tired because I've been sleeping like 2, 3, 4 hours sleep each night, maybe a little bit more, but I really don't know. And I see a little Arctic fox. Now, if you've never seen one of these things, you're probably alive because apparently they are super elusive. Like you don't see them normally. And yeah, it was so cute. When you see animals and they're doing things that are just kind of normal or things that maybe people do, like stretching. Yeah, he was stretching his little front feet out, kind of like you might see a dog or a cat do, and it was just so adorable because he didn't see me. He was just stretching, and then he saw me and he just kind of sat upright, and he's like, oh, she's looking at me. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy this moment, and I'm going to keep going. And I kept walking, and then I thought, wait a minute, what am I doing? That was an Arctic fox. So I turned around and tried to find him to take a picture of him, but, he was gone. He had taken off, of course, or maybe he was sitting right there staring at me laughing because I couldn't see him. I don't know. But yeah, that was such a great experience to be able to see that. I told one of the locals about it later, and they're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. You don't see them. So I felt pretty lucky about that. Yeah, you'll have to, after this, look up pictures of Arctic foxes. There'll probably be a ton of pictures from people who were more on the ball than I was. So in this detail work where my head keeps getting in the way, what I was basically doing, what I ended up doing, was I was putting white on it and trying to lighten it up, and then I was putting the other colors on it. Which what I was doing primarily was I was mixing the burnt umber, hooker's green, phthalo blue, and burnt sienna in just kind of two different ratios or percentages, however you want to look at it. I could not tell you how exactly I was doing it because it was changing depending on where it was. You know, if I wanted it to be a little bit more blue or a little bit more green. Because if you look at the picture, there is a lot of brown, but there is actually a little touch of green in places. And because of the reflections and the sky and everything like that, I just wanted to have that just hint of blue in there to kind of give it a little bit of interest. So yeah, that's what originally I wasn't really going with all of those colors, but I thought, you know, just doing one color, which I started out in the very beginning, it was just burnt umber. It just looks so flat. So adding in those colors creates that dimension. And as I was working around the snow, trying to, again, play with the light, play with how the hills are, and how, you know, if the snow is just laying on top or if it's going down into a little bit of a valley in between the hills. You know, all these things, trying to figure it out as I'm going, because I did not have a plan going in. I just thought, you know what? I'm painting this picture. I'm doing it. And I printed off the picture. I have it in color and in black and white so that I could see the values and the changes in the like the shading, basically. And you know, I just ran and I just did it. I grabbed some colors that I thought I needed, edited out a lot of times where I was going and grabbing different colors or different brushes, and yeah, just went for it. So it was literally no plan, no practice, just go for it. Which is probably why I used so many brushes, that Whisp included, and that this painting took me 3 hours to complete. So, you know what? But the nice thing about it, I was totally relaxed the whole time. I actually felt really good about this painting. There were times, yeah, I was a little bit frustrated, but I kept thinking, you know what? It's here. I just gotta keep going. And the brilliant thing about acrylic color is sometimes you do just need to start layering. You layer that little bit of light, and then, you know, you add in that little bit of darker value in certain areas, and all of a sudden it's amazing. Now, I don't know if you want to put this painting to the amazing level. I am completely fine if you don't, because I don't really think it's there. But because this was my first painting that I did on my own, I am super proud. And when my niece saw it, her response, my sister showed her the picture that I had taken, and then she showed her the picture of my painting, because they live in a different city. I was just talking to them on the phone. She showed her the picture of my painting, and her response was, "Whoa!" So, you know, what higher praise can you get, really? I mean, you could have some amazing art critic go on and on and on about, you know, all the great techniques and blah, 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 blah. But really, hearing that type of feedback from someone who is just so innocent in that way, like from a child, that's where you get your positive reinforcement, you know, from the mouths of babes and such. So, yeah, I knew it would took me a while. I kind of just moved my way over, and I just really took my time and didn't stress out about the fact that it was too dark or that it was too light or that it was getting, you know, the color was getting muddy or getting too gray, because it's just, you know, you keep going, you let it dry, and you go over top. There's so many people that stress about paint because as soon as you touch the canvas, that paint's there. It's done. You can't take it back. No, yeah, you can't really take it back, but you can cover it up. You know, I did that so many times. Like, if you really look, there are times, some of those hills, they get really dark, and then I lighten them up. Or they get really, really ridiculously light, and then I darken them a bit. This hill that I'm working on right now, that one was really difficult because it is so much just in, like, there's no shadow at all on it. It was all light. And so it was really difficult to do that because it almost felt like there was no other values on there. So that's where, you know, I grabbed the burnt sienna and the white and just tried to do that, but then it was too white or it looked kind of muddy and, you know, just not getting the right feel for it. So, you know, just keep going and try it again and let it dry and go over it again. So, for Iceland, I cannot recommend this country enough. I often tell people if I can retire there, I will. Like, it was just such a magnificent experience. I spent an entire month there. The entire month that I was supposed to go to Scandinavia, I spent the whole month in Iceland. Actually saw the entire country because, I mean, it's not huge. It is actually really small, but there's so much there. And it's primarily all around the edge because the middle, where the highlands are, not many people live there because you kind of can't. I mean, you can't grow anything there because it's all volcanic. You couldn't really raise any livestock or animals or anything there. So, I mean, it's largely, I think they have some races that go through there, or, you know, like me, it's touristy. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't recommend it enough. There are some other, you know, I have so many fantastic pictures from there that I will probably pick some other ones and paint them as well. I probably have 20 pictures just from this hike alone. So, you know, I'll have to choose some of the next ones. The Blue Lagoon was actually super luxurious. That was like my high point of luxuriousness. If you don't know what the Blue Lagoon is, look it up. It was such a great experience, like amazing spa-ness. I think it was slightly raining when we were there because I met a girl from BC and we went there together. She just stayed for the day. I stayed the night. And it was actually really nice. I remember I had red in my hair, and when, like, you didn't really want to get your hair too wet. There were some people that were putting the sand in their hair because that's the thing about the Blue Lagoon. It's super exfoliant and it's supposed to be amazing for your skin. But yeah, my hair got a little bit wet, and I had red in my hair. And when I put on the robe from the hotel, the back got all red. Oh my goodness, I felt terrible. I was so worried because, yeah, my hair was running all over this robe and getting red. So yeah, what I ended up doing was I tried to wash it and then I just kind of hid it in a corner. I'm sorry. It was quite a few years ago and nobody charged me for it, so I guess it came out. It was all white, so yay, bleach. But yeah, it was really nice when I got back to the hotel that night. There was a TV and I had the room and the bed to myself. It was amazing after spending so many nights in a hostel or different hotels with other people in the room because I went on the trip I was taking was with multiple people. Like the tour. I mean, Iceland, I went there by myself entirely, but I did a tour with other people. But yeah, I remember I had a phone card and there was a phone in my room. I had a cell phone with like a SIM card for that country, but we found out later that the text messages I had sent were like $5 each or something ridiculous. So I didn't want to call anywhere there. But yeah, I used my phone card and I called my mom, and it was kind of like super sweet, but also kind of funny looking back on it, because I remember, you know, ring, 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 and then hello, and I said, hi, Mom, and then there was just this slight pause, and then, Andrea! It was just so sweet. My mom missed me, and she was happy to hear from me. I always think, you know, it's so nice to hear that rather than, oh, I didn't realize you were gone. Huh, okay, whatever. So, yes, yay, Mom loves me. So nice. So by the time I was getting to this point, I was just touching up the snow and trying to get just, get the white. And then I wanted to get just a slight darkness on there, just super slight black for that ash and not overdo it. That was my fear, that I was going to overdo it and it was going to be too much because, it's snow, but it's like blackish, brownish, grayish snow. But yeah, so that was one of my challenges. I did actually put a little bit of the phthalo blue into the snow as well because, snow always does have that slight bluish tinge to it. So I wanted to capture that in there, just, super, super slight, get that in there, make sure it looks good and such. So yeah, once I had that done, then it was just that the sky, and I wanted to make sure that everything was nice and crisp because in those hills I had come up into the sky a little bit with the brown shades, or with the hill shades. So I wanted to make sure that line was nice and crisp. I was, this is so funny the way it works out. I was going to crisp up that line, and then I was going to, kind of blend that white in. But if you look at that, like, how freaking cool is that? Like, it just kind of made it look like clouds. Um, and up close, it actually looked pretty good too. So yeah, I was super happy. I was like, yay, this is working out so well. And then I had to crisp up that line down there on the water. That shadow was... Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, it actually doesn't look too bad on there.